And so today we have the Studio Series Bumblebee movie, Core Class Shockwave. I thought that doing this guy as a core class was a weird choice to begin with. And I'm going to tell you now, I'm not that impressed with this. Certainly not impressed enough for what the MSRP was here in Canada of $16.99 plus tax for this. Like, I mean, 20 bucks for this? No, not a chance. Nobody should spend 20 bucks on this. It's not good enough for that at all. But Starscream Wife happened to find this guy for $4 Canadian. Might be worth that. We're going to find out in the latest GotBot True review. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course subscribe, and while you are at it, light 'em up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton and it'll let you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that is in the description down below. Also in the description down below, and if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link, check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. And this is not good. It is, the easiest way I can describe it is, it feels like a poor man's Transformers Prime, Cyberverse Commander class, when Commander was tiny, version of Transformers Prime Shockwave. It feels like this is a worse version of that in a lot of ways. Not all. And there are things I like about it. But there's a bunch of problems here that are glaring when you consider it under the light of full MSRP. But for $4, maybe this is good enough. Without any further ado, how about we head over to the table and take a closer look at this Shockwave. And so here we have the Transformers Buzzworthy Bumblebee Studio Series Core Class Shockwave. Everything about this confuses me. Its existence confuses me. And I'll tell you now before we even get into the review, if I had paid the $16.99 that this retailed for upon release, I'd be livid. The $4 that my wife paid at a dollar store here in Canada, a chain called Dollarama, the $4 that she paid is the accurate price for this. It is not good. For this to have been $16.99 plus tax, $20 is highway robbery. That's the truth. So let's get into it and explain why it's highway robbery. We're going to take him out of it, the instructions out of it, and start with the packaging first. And so we have Studio Series packaging. The cores are unnumbered. We have like his gleaming eye over here. I mean, a Decepticon logo on the front, his name. You see Shockwave up here. Over here we see more of his body, and of course on the back we have the product images. Nothing special. We have instructions, but honestly, this thing feels like a watered down, because it's not as complicated as what I'm about to say. This thing feels like a watered down version of the Transformers Prime Cyberverse version of Shockwave. It's a similar alt mode, the lower body is similar, a lot of the moves are the same, the way the arms are handled here is different, and I would argue not as good. But that's just me. Now, does that mean it's all awful? Absolutely not. There are things that I certainly like. The instructions, I guess that they're fine if you need them. Let's start with the good, because I know I've been sounding a bit harsh so far, and he deserves it in terms of being 20 bucks. For $4, I love the guy. But let's talk about what is done well here. I think the paint is applied very nicely, and I think there's a significant amount of it on the chest and the silver around the eye. There's certainly more that could have been added, but I'm happy with the coloration and the molding that's done here. I think it very much does look like Shockwave from the Bumblebee movie. Unfortunately, I don't find that this look on the side is accurate. The way that this was molded doesn't strike me the best unless it's front on. Otherwise, it just seems like any other blaster put in his hand. Like, it doesn't feel like the Fall of Cybertron one done the same sort of thing where it just goes in his hand. And honestly, I felt like that one was more seamless. Like, it felt like his hand was hidden. It felt like his arm became part of the cannon. Even the Siege one pulls this off well, and honestly, the Prime one pulled it off fairly well. However, here, while I get it, and I appreciate that they do give him 2 hands, and I get it for the transformation, I wish that this would have been maybe molded down a little further on the side or something, just to cover the fact that it's obviously him holding a blaster. That said, I also really like the mass here. 30 grams. Traditional Legends class offering is about 32 to 35 grams. So 30 grams for a core, since core has basically replaced Legends class. Yeah, that seems about right. So the look, I'm going to actually give, and the molding and stuff, I'm going to give that, honestly, I'm going to give that a 9.5. It might not be exactly perfect, because when I look at the screen, and I look at like the CG of him, I'm not sure if the center here is black, and we don't seem to have the silver outline, but I like it. And maybe it is there, and I just can't see it when I look at like screen caps of the actual movie, right? Nevertheless, I do think that it's very, very accurate, and I do very much like it, so I'm going to give it a 9.5. Right down to the dark knees and the gray feet, or yeah, the gray feet. Like, all of that is accurate, really. So yeah, I like it, 9.5. It is what it is. Let's do the articulation, and this is what's abysmal as far as I'm concerned. So we have a head that can go left and right. That looks fine. No up and down. The shoulders, yeah, okay, they can go all the way around. Only out to the side that far. Bit limited because of the molding. We have an elbow that's not even 90 degrees. And we do have a bicep swivel, which is nice, but not even 90 degrees. When, if you fold it back, it's 90 degrees. Whatever you did with the molding out here, it should be able to go 90 degrees. I find that wildly disappointing. No waist, but that's to be expected. Leg forward, that's fine. Leg back that far, I mean, that's fine, I guess. Out to the side, it's not perfect, but I think it's respectable. Thighs wiggle more than a thigh swivel. And a knee that, again, well under 90 degrees. Like, I'm sorry, but that's not good enough. When you're capable of better, that's not good enough. These should have collapsed in or folded out on the side of the leg or something. For $4, I forgive it, and I'm like, hey, that's great. For $20, which is what this guy basically would have been taxes in here, I'm sorry, I don't see the quality at all. I would have been happier if this guy was retailing for $9.99. $10.99 Canadian. I could see $9.99 or $10.99. I'm happy with the $4.99 or whatever he was. I'm going to say I was really disappointed with the articulation. I thought it was going to be way better since everybody loved this guy. I'm only giving it... It's mostly there for the size class. I mean, I guess it's an 8. But like, it's an 8 with me trying to be objective. In my heart, I feel like it's a 6.5. I can't score many dynamic poses with him. Unless you're doing the one pose from the movie where he stands up and he's pointing his cannon. Unless you're doing that, he doesn't really look good in a lot of poses. So I'm not blown away. Nevertheless, trying to be impartial, I'm going to say it's an 8. He just needs the range of motion to be better. We have an 8 and a 9.5. So, you know, we're looking at what? 8.75 or so at this point. Let's do the transformation. If you know the Transformers Prime version of Shockwave, the, I guess, Commander class that was, which is basically Legends as well. Funny enough, it's not the Commander class that we know now that's gigantic. The old Transformers Prime Commander class. Old collectors will know what I'm talking about. It's very similar to this. Not the same, but very similar. So I'm going to take this out of his hand. Man, it's tight in there. I'm going to say 3mm. And it's fine. It's just, again, if I have it out of his hand, like, I don't think that there's anywhere else that it can go if you have it out of his hand. When I look at the instructions, I don't see anywhere in robot mode for it to go other than his hand. Okay. Then why did you give him 2 hands? You know? Like, I don't know. Just a lot of weird choices with this guy. That's all. Just a lot of weird choices with this guy. We'll do the transformation. Like I said, I'd take that out. I'm actually going to bring the handle up this way because this handle will actually go into the back of his head once we get him in tank mode. Okay, so let's get into it. how do I want to begin this? I guess I'll turn the head around, and you can see there's a hole there. That's where we'll put this, and I'm going to pick that up. Not that we need it all done for now. You'll also notice, see if I can show this now. I'm hoping I can show it. Yeah, little pegs right here, little round pegs. They're going to go in a little peg hole behind the pin at the knee. You'll definitely see it. I don't remember the Transformers Prime version having something to actually solidify the torso to the legs. Maybe it did, but I don't remember now. And I think that was also used for a Commander class Prime Bludgeon, if I'm not mistaken. I used to have both of them. I was going to use them here, but they went years and years ago to one of the scraplets, and I don't know what he did with it. They're not around anymore. Maybe they got sold. I don't know. So we have that up, and then we're going to take the whole thing, and detach it. And this is very Transformers Prime-esque. And begin to bring it down. We're not going to bring it all the way down yet, because we have to take the leg up, and then at the hip, we fold it forward. We take the leg up, and at the hip, we fold it forward. And that allows the legs to go all the way up. Cool. We're going to fold that chest piece in and bring this down. So that chest piece goes up and under right there, and bring this down. And now we have to peg in the knees. Like that. They might not be perfect. I'll adjust it as, you know, when we get to the end. But that's basically the, I guess, front end of the tank done. This is almost move for move like the Transformers Prime Commander class. Pretty much the exact same transformation. We fold up the head here. I feel like with the Transformers Prime one, we tucked the head in rather than fold it up. I'm just going to bring those down. Now we have to deal with these arms. And there's a little, I guess, tab and slot where the arms lock in. Kind of, though. Like, it's more they guide in than lock in. And then we should be able to turn the arm and turn the arm. There's a couple of like hinges here. Man, it's difficult to show. It's really, really challenging to show this transformation on camera. Like, yeah, like that. And like that. Now, we have to take, there's a little tab here that goes into, or a little slot and tab that should lock the arms together. I can't quite get it there now. I'm going to have to do it off screen. But the arms end up locked in behind like this. And then this piece pokes into the head. It's a super duper tight fit. And usually I find I push the handle before it pushes into the head. And I actually have to get really, really close to do it. So I'm going to slot that in that hole. I'm going to clean up these arms in the back. And then we'll talk about the alt mode. But I'm going to tell you now, the transformation I don't think is that great. I didn't think it was great on the Transformers Prime version. 7, maybe. It's a bit cumbersome. Things don't fit together as nicely as I'd like them to. I'm going to say 7. He was getting an 8.75. Overall, this guy's probably about maybe an 8 if you get him on sale. If you got to pay 20 bucks for it, don't do that. Don't at all do that, because you're getting fleeced. This is not that good. If you can get it for even 10 bucks Canadian, I think it's pretty good for that. Let me just clean him up and we'll talk about his tank mode. And here we have the H-Tank mode. I mean, I wasn't struck on this in Transformers Prime, but, you know, he kind of really owned it there, and I was like, okay, cool, he's a tank now, whatever. And we saw a lot of that tank rolling into action and stuff. This just, I don't know, it's underwhelming. It's wildly underwhelming. I don't understand the size. I don't understand why these treads don't collapse. I don't understand why the hands are out. I don't understand why these treads don't collapse. Why don't we have a full range of motion at the knee? Why don't we have a full range of motion at the elbow? These shoulders go over a gray tab here, but like they just rest there. It's not at all locked in. There's a tab here on the lower arm that locks it to the upper arm. That works. The tolerance of putting that into the back of the head is awful. I mean, I guess it goes all the way around, and I respect that. If you push on the legs by accident, they're going to come out of the tabs that are down here. None of the treads roll. There's no wheels that I can discern. Is there? I don't think so. I think you just push it along. It's just, this feels unfinished. I can't believe that anybody with an ounce of common sense saw this design and saw this done and said, yeah, that's worth 20 bucks Canadian. I don't know what they retail for in the US. I really don't. If it's $10 Canadian, $10 US, $12 US, that's too much. This is, at best, $5 US. That's at best. The $5 that my wife paid for it here at a dollar store, that's what this is worth. Anything more it's not true. This isn't great. I love the look, but it's not very dynamic and posing. The transformation is more fiddly and finicky than fun, and the resulting alt mode is not anything to write home about. If you love it, you absolutely win. But I find this to be one of the most underwhelming Transformers that I've looked at in a long time. Make of that what you will. And here we are, and here he is. Okay, the look is great. I think that it's a great sculpt. I think that the colors are exactly where they should be. The paint is pretty minimal, but where it's used well. I think the look kind of nails it. I love the yellow eye on the head. So I got no problem really with the look. I don't have a huge problem with the transformation, other than the legs don't stay pegged in super solid. The arms, that as they're supposed to go over the little rectangular tab here, I guess on the top of his thigh, that's just guided there. It doesn't really stay. The way the arms here are on the back with the hands out and stuff, it's not great. It's hard to get all four limbs lined up accurately. I do like the turret moving all the way around, and I do think it was clever that it can peg into the back of the head. It's just a bit of a nuisance to do it because of the way the handle moves. In robot mode, I wished, pardon me, I wish that this had more molding, because it's so obvious he's just holding a blaster instead of having a hand that is a blaster. But then we get to the articulation, and there's a lot of limits on this guy, especially with the arms and the shoulders, that make doing dynamic poses really awful. Really, really awful. I feel like they tried to simplify the arms from the Transformers Prime version, which admittedly, they were a bit of a nuisance there. But I can't necessarily say it succeeds. The big difference is, with the Transformers Prime version, the turret is one of his arms, and that like whole shoulder sort of folds it over to become the turret, and the other arm just sort of like folds up and in. These back treads are actually on these pieces here, these gray pieces here that are kind of like next to his head. I don't know if that was necessarily better, because I always found that didn't want to necessarily stay together super well either. I'm okay with the tank. I'm okay with the Cybertronian tank. I don't think the Commander class was the right way to do this, and I don't really know why it exists. Usually when we get a Commander class Shockwave, he's a blaster for somebody. This isn't. It's just an out-of-scale, weird little Shockwave. Let me know what you think about this Shockwave. Did you like it or not? Did you get it for full MSRP, or did you get it on sale like I did? For full MSRP, I cannot at all recommend this. It is not worth a full core class price. At least not here in Canada. Not close. But if you can find it at like the dollar store for, you know, $4, yeah, it's worth that. You know, I'd pay the price. You know what it boils down to? I would pay the price of a KO for this, even though this is not a KO. Make of that whatever you will. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through Spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. While you are at it, please hit the subscribe button, stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel, and don't forget that somehow, someway, each and every single solitary day, you right there, you do make a difference in the world, and I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way right here inside the video.